Attention, everybody. The views and opinions expressed on the show are not necessarily those of Axe Ministry, Axe Media Group, and or their affiliate and subordinate ministries, and or nonprofits.
Still Friday. I am still your host.
You can push that way if you want. All the way.
It is okay. It is
sorry.
the Morning Mouth with your host, Johnny Rooster.
Pastor Matt.
We are coming at you with things that you don't normally hear anywhere else.
No, you wouldn't hear anywhere.
Anywhere else. Yeah. Hey, this is Axe Media Group, but we have a variety of programs.
Oh, yeah. Wide
This
variety.
morning you may have tuned in the Morning Drive. With Matt
The
and
Morning
Jay.
Drive.
It was not in French. It was in English. So we had a good discussion there about differences. I wanted to talk today about a novel that I wrote. It is the first. Have you ever written a novel?
Never.
Yeah, I know a lot of people haven't. But I know writing something that long was a marathon.
Yeah.
And I put it aside. And then I started again. Then I put it aside. It was one of these projects where if I were being paid to do that, I would have been broke so long ago, because I started way back in the year 2007 with the idea, I'm putting it on paper, and then continuing that thread. And it was based on a few weird and amazing situations in my life. You see, that year, 2007, I was faced with a serious and ugly accusation.
That is serious.
And it's startling because really a member of law enforcement that went to church with me contacted me, said, John, we'd like you to come down to the station and answer a few questions about this allegation from 10 years ago. No,
Ooh.
20 years ago. Matt, this was real. This played out in 2007. Something supposedly, allegedly happened 20 years earlier. I was 17 at that time. 20 years earlier. I was 37 when they told me.
Oh, wow.
Some horrible event happened, and I was supposedly a part of it.
Ooh.
Well, this is the point of the book. The Accusation is a novel I wrote. Can we show it?
Yeah, you're the
It's up on the
author.
wall. It's up on the wall.
As long as you give us permission to
Yeah,
video.
you have all the permission in the world to buy it,
Let
too,
me see if
you
I can
want to
zoom
do
into that.
Go on in and...
Let's see. Let's hold it up there for a second.
Is it backwards to the camera?
No.
All right. We don't do backwards.
Okay, so
Does it say
we can
accusation?
we can actually see the picture of
The
it
picture's
up here.
on the wall. That's
Yeah.
the most important one to look at. I have been developing this story since 2007. It's been brewing like a good pot of coffee, and then it went beyond that into something more meaningful. And that's where I want our listeners and viewers to understand. If you were reading this book, you would find things in it that you wouldn't find anywhere else, just like the Johnny Rooster Morning Mouth.
Yeah.
It's not what you normally hear or read.
So
It's not just another book.
How long did it take you to write that novel?
Well, I told you it's 2007. I am just now wrapping it up.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Now, that's a long time. I'm a
That's
different
13
person.
Years. 13 years.
I set it aside for years and would come back to it periodically, attack it again, and then let it drift away again. And that's what made this thing a unique, unusual. If you read this book, The Accusation, you can find it on Amazon. But if you want to have a lot of fun, get one from me directly. I'll give you an autographed copy. They're $15. I'm trying to get my costs back, but $15 to read something you wouldn't find anywhere. It's different. Now, some similarities.
Is it on Amazon?
Yes. So on Amazon, or you can get it directly from me. Johnny Rooster is available. 417-894-3870, or author John Cockcroft at gmail.com. Author John Cockcroft.
At Gmail.
Yes. Again, I want people to know why this is so different and the journey behind writing the book. So, Pastor Matt, if I may, I want to explain why it took me so long and what happened during these huge breaks, why this book was so unusual.
Right.
It's
Okay,
a
go ahead.
novel, and it's just because I wrote it, it's like, oh, he's talking about his book. Okay, good. But here's what's different. In 2007, somebody called me from the sheriff's department and says, we'd like you to come in and talk about a situation from 20 years ago. Well,
That'd
you
be
know what? That
nerve-wracking.
is not a good place to be. So I thought to myself, I'm going to call my friend. He's a lawyer. I'm not going to just go on into the sheriff's department without any information. They didn't say what it was. They told me vaguely what was going on, and I'm like, that's not real. This is dumb. I mean, this is not right. So I called my lawyer friend, and he says, don't talk to him because it's on them to bring it all up and to investigate it, and that's why they do their job. They need to have all the information to file a charge.
Yeah.
All they're going to do if you walk in there is to try to gather anything they can to file a charge.
Yeah.
So that's not the point of what you want. You
Because
want
their goal in there is to
charge
convict
somebody
you
of something that could have happened. So I wisely took his advice. And folks, if you're in a situation where you get an outside accusation from something, you're like, where is that coming from? I had no idea. I didn't even understand any of the idea behind it. It wasn't even remotely something that I was aware of. So I wasn't hiding something like, oh no, I hope I don't get caught. Nothing like that. This is out of the wild blue yonder. Just gets, okay. So I just said, all right, I'm not going to reply. It's been, what has it been? 2007. Is that 20? 17 years? What?
2010.
17, that's 10 years.
That's 13 years.
13 years now, and nothing. Nothing out of that. So I want you to know that's what started this book. It's called The Accusation. I wrote about a young man who is a newspaper journalist in 1989, before the internet. So it's the older days. And he is also a youth pastor at a local church. The church name is Harmony Community Church. It's in Sawmill Springs, Missouri, down in Piney County, just north of the Arkansas line. Now, that all sounds plausible. None of the names are real, but it sure sounds like a real place, doesn't it? So here he is. Jason Marbler is his name. And he's accused of something. And while trying to prove his innocence, because he's like, this is crazy, a horrific incident takes place that makes him look even guiltier. When he's looking more guilty, he's got to live a lie, or he's got to go ahead and tell the truth, knowing that it could cost him his family and his freedom forever. So that's the dilemma of the book, The Accusation. If you like to read novels, I would put it in the thriller suspense category. It's not a Christian book for Christians. It is a book for people that like to read suspense thrillers, okay? So just setting that up, it's a different type of experience. Like most things on the Johnny Rooster Show with the Morning Mouth. Pastor Matt, we've got a different something for people.
Yeah.
Not just your usual. I'm hearing a little beep going on.
Okay, so
That's unusual, too. That's a little different.
it is unusual.
We're gonna have to
I've
say,
got a
what is this?
motion activated camera out
Beep,
there,
beep.
and I'm trying to figure out how to turn the
How do you turn the volume off on that?
that's what I'm
He's
working
getting
on
motion
at
sickness.
the moment.
That's what he's doing. He's getting motion sickness from the motion detector.
Speaker, mic.
But drawing, yeah, you got to identify, well, what's going on there? But we have a book that talks about somebody who's falsely accused or he's legitimately accused, but the reader doesn't really know. Is this a real thing? Is it something that he's hiding? So we never really find out right away, and that's what makes it an interesting read. Is The Accusation is a story, a regular story about a man who happens to be a youth pastor and a newspaper journalist in 1989. So it's a good, different read about a small town in southwest Missouri called Sawmill Springs, Missouri, in Piney County, with the Sawmill Springs Sentinel newspaper and the Harmony Community Church. So I think you'll find it full of colorful characters, interesting twists, and a very unique experience because, again, it's not a book about for Christians and a Christian theme, but it is a Christian theme about Christians. And so it's definitely different from what the world experiences and different from what the church normally experiences as far as a read. So again, it's called The Accusation. It's book 1 in a series. I'm going to be writing a couple other books about this particular town and what's going on, because we have other characters like the county sheriff. We have the pastor of the church where Jason attends. He's the main character. He's the youth pastor. The senior pastor. There's other characters that are going to be explained further in subsequent books, but they're not books that are chronologically later. These are happening at the same time about different people and overlapping the same information.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's not like this one happened in 1989, the next one happens in 1990.
It's all correlated.
It's all correlated. So we're going back, hey, this is what's going on here. So a lot of the book explains some stuff and brings it up, and then we're like, wait, what's going to happen next? And then it ends. So I just want warning, plot, what do you call it? It's kind of a
plot thickens?
Spoiler. It's not a spoiler. It's just a plot that doesn't end satisfactorily. It ends more abruptly, and you're like, wait a minute, what about? And the what about is explained in the next 2 books. Okay, so it's a deliberate 3-part series, and it could go beyond that. So that's what I've got in mind. I started slowly. The process was we had, how do you self-publish a book? Some people ask me that. They're like, how do you self-publish a book? Because so many people are getting caught up in, how do I get that book printed? How do I get a book, an ebook, anything out there? You know, you got to do that. So how do you do it? Well, I went to CreateSpace, and CreateSpace.com became KDP.com. So if you're an aspiring author, KindleDirectPublishing.com links you to the Amazon way of putting a book together on your own. They'll give you a template to put the cover together. They'll give you a format to put it in, what size you want it to be. And normally you can follow those instructions on your own without outside help and get that book put together. Now, I recommend getting an editor or somebody that really helps with that type of thing, because a book that has errors in it is a book that loses credibility. And if anybody that might have written a book knows that. So get yourself a very good product, get it together, and KDP is a good place to put a book out for public people that want to publish a book and they're not using a large budget with a publishing company.
Right.
So that's kind of one of the reasons was I was stalled out at my own situations, but those situations became part of the book loosely. There was an accusation in my life. I was a newspaper journalist in 1988. That's when I started my journalism. Wow. And I began to be a youth pastor in 1991. So these overlapped into my occupation. I was a youth pastor and a newspaper journalist in a small town. And because of those experiences as a youth pastor and as a news reporter, I was able to be involved with the public and with the church on 2 different levels. And so I had something different to offer the newspaper and something different to offer the church. And that's why I think the Accusation novel is a reflection of the church and the world and how they're blending together and how they see things in a different light. When somebody's accused in the church, that's different from being accused in the world.
Right.
And how you respond to it in the world is different than how you respond to it in the church.
Or it should be.
And so there's differences, and those differences are pointed out in this book. The character Jason, who is a news reporter and youth pastor, is caught up in a dilemma. Should he tell the truth that he knows about the disturbing incident? Because it's not his fault, but it happened. Does he tell it and lose his family and freedom potentially, or does he live a lie? And he has not got a good conscience with either scenario. That's what makes it a very huge dilemma for the main character in The Accusation, a novel by John Cockcroft on Amazon.
You didn't put Johnny Rooster on the cover?
Johnny Rooster would have been a little confusing, you know, for some people that are reading. But Johnny Rooster was not even known when I started this book.
Oh, yeah.
This is way before the Johnny Rooster concept.
Johnny
I came
Rooster
along here on this program.
This is where you got the Johnny Rooster.
This program right here.
I did not know that.
Was Johnny Rooster because of you.
I did not.
You know.
I thought you already had that.
No, you
Audrey
you
Snyder.
can't even remember how clever you were coming up with your own label for me. That's a big win for you. You got to remember those things.
Yeah. Well,
when
it's
you
on air now.
When
it's
you
recorded.
when you personally name an on-air personality yourself, you gave it that name. That's good. That's a big win for you.
That's my thing, I guess. With this is
it's like
naming people.
The beginning of the world. Adam was assigned what? Naming animals. You're naming personalities. That's what you do. You're a namer. It's like the naming rights. You got to name the tower, Pearson Tower, whatever, just throwing a name out there.
That would be interesting. Yeah. What is this?
Plaza
This is
Tower.
Plaza.
Yeah.
I mean, the first letter's the same. We may as well go up and change the lights on the marquee.
Just scrub it all over
Pearson, Pearson Tower.
Yeah.
So,
but naming rights. So I've named the book The Accusation. It's available on Amazon. It's also available through me, the author, at 417-894-3870 or author John Cockcroft at Gmail.
Or hit us up on Facebook.
Please
you can
just
private message me. I can
check
put you
in on Facebook with the Axe Media Group.
I can send you his direction.
It's a wonderful.
Are you on a Facebook Live right now?
I'm doing a Facebook Live right now.
Really?
It's live of the live.
Oh,
it's
so
like
you're able to put your picture on a watch part? Oh,
I am living.
You're living the dream.
Is that a word? Are we living? I'm going live while we're going live. I've muted it so that you can't hear the distraction. That would sound terrible, wouldn't it?
Hey, you know what's really cool?
Feedback.
The only time I figured this out, anytime someone walks in front of that camera, it sends me an alert. And if I have the camera actually open,
oh my gosh,
if I have it
so
open,
distracting.
If I have it open, it dings.
Ding.
So I
don't need, as an ADD person, you don't need that. I wrote this book. I started it years ago, but I've just recently wrapped it up. Got it in the mail yesterday in a box. It was fun. First author of a first novel. I'm excited. They're $15. They're available from me. I've got 20 copies right now, but I'm going to sell out of those. I'm going to put a new cover on it. I didn't like this. I did it on my little word processor computer, nothing fancy, but I found it better.
Did you start writing it with a typewriter?
I did not, and that's more of the thing I don't like. It's a 1989 newspaper story. So it's pre-big internet stuff, but it is.
Yeah.
It's 1989. It's not like 1939.
I was 9 years old whenever
1989, that year was unique because there's a lot of pre-technology stuff, but there was a lot of worldly influence.
Yeah.
Everything's cable TV and worldly influence, whatever, We were connected, but we weren't connected.
Well, we've got about 3 minutes left.
Well, again, John Cockcroft is the author. That's me. It's the first novel. It's first in a series on Sawmill Springs. You can look it up on Amazon. It's John is John, Cockcroft Cockcroft. Now that's a name you slow down and stop because that's a harder name.
Cockcroft?
People add.
That's why I always called you Roostercroft.
Yeah, because Rooster.
That's where you got Johnny Rooster from.
Showed up.
John Roostercroft.
But if we did Rooster, it mixes up the idea that I'm trying to sell my book with my name, not with this name.
Oh, yeah. No, that was pre-Rooster. That was pre-Rooster.
But now that it's completed, I'm excited to let people read it. It's different. It's not a specifically Christian book, but it's not a non-Christian book. It's a different book. You ready for something like John Grisham style with a Christian theme? You're ready. It's different. It's not going to be your favorite.
Interesting.
It's not going to be your favorite love story, and it's not going to be your most offensive material. It's something different.
The world needs different sometimes.
You won't expect it. Look out. Every page is a watch out. So that's The Accusation, a novel by John Cockcroft.
Now, can we download the e-version of it, too?
It is coming. Actually...
Not audio.
I'm working on the e-version right now.
Oh, okay.
It's available very soon. And I'm going to be doing an audio version as well, but the e-version will be ready very soon, within the next 2 weeks.
You could probably record the audio version.
I think so. Yeah. If you'd allow the time, I would love it.
As long as you're patient, we could do it.
If you're patient, I'm patient. So I'd like to
be read by the author.
Yeah. And I've got the voice inflections for the different characters. They're very colorful characters from 1989.
Are they? You got any
backwoodsy types, uppity types? It's fun. There's a big church involved. There's a small church involved. There's a newspaper involved. It's a community, coffee shop talk, all the smokers, all of the people that do their little, gossip sessions. It's great stuff.
Oh, wow.
And that's what catches the main character up in The Accusation. He can't get away from it. He's part of the headlines, and he knows the truth, but he can't tell it in the newspaper.
This is a fictional autobiography.
Fiction. It's a fictional story about a guy who's trying to get away from being in the news, and he is the news reporter. He's like, I don't want to tell the truth, or I'll have to lose my freedom, because he could get misunderstood quickly. So his world is altered forever.
Your wife posted a link on the comments.
Oh, very good.
So that's really
That's what
good.
wives do.
Yeah, it is.
They post links.
They post links and they pray for us.
Amen.
That's
We
what
need
wives
prayer.
should do.
You guys all need prayer. And
Post links on our Facebook page
if
and
you
pray
don't,
for us.
if you don't mind spreading the word, The Accusation is the novel. It is going to be a part one of a series in Sawmill Springs, Missouri. If you like a different kind of thriller, that might be your thing to get away from the isolation of COVID.
Yeah.
Give you something to do.
So it's time for us to get out of here, Johnny.
Thank you for listening. And thank you for being part of this program. Always something new, something different that you don't hear anywhere else. That's The Morning Mouth with your host, Johnny Rooster.
And Pastor Matt.
And we will see you next Friday, same time, same place.
Bye, everybody.
Adios.